3 stages of money, and how to get more. All of that to be covered in this video. Let's get into it right away. But really quickly before we do, if you haven't done so yet, welcome to the channel and please make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video. Thank you, I truly appreciate it, and I'm back each and every day in videos just like this to help you out in any way that I possibly can, as I love talking about these topics and sharing my knowledge and expertise with all the research that I do with all of these various topics. So again, thank you so much. Let's get into it and discuss these 3 different stages of money and ultimately how you can get yourself some more of it, right? Everybody wants more of the green. I don't know about you, but I certainly do. All right, anyway, let's talk about these stages. So I briefly want to run through these 3 stages, and then we can talk about a little bit more as far as how you can actually move yourself into different categories. So first off, before we get into it, I just have to say this much. The first 2 categories that we're going to go through is where the vast majority of our population is actually located. There's actually only a small percentage of our population that is located in category number 3, but that is ultimately the goal, is to get into the 3rd stage of money. All right, so let's get through these one at a time, and I'll give you a couple quick examples in each category. All right, so number 1 is deficit. Let me explain what this means, and I'll give you a quick example. So a deficit, stage number 1 being living in a deficit. For example purposes, let's just say your income on a monthly basis is $1,000. Now, it does not matter what this number is. It could be $1,000, it could be $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. It literally does not matter what the number is at all, because at the end of the day, it all shakes out the same regardless of what the numbers are. So just for easy example purposes and for easy math, let's just use $1,000. So let's just say, for example, your income on a monthly basis is $1,000. Your living expenses are $1,200. Therefore, by the end of the month, you would be living in a deficit type of situation, whereas your living expenses are more than your actual income. Therefore, you either need to float the balance to continue living your life and covering your living expenses, maybe like on a credit card or something like that, hopefully not, or maybe you need to dig into savings or possibly even reach out to friends and family to have them help you get by each and every month because your income is not covering your living expenses. Now, unfortunately, this is a stage that the vast majority of our population is actually living in. This stage right here and the next stage, which we'll get into here in just a second. So this is what it would be like in stage 1, living in a deficit. So yeah, an unfortunate situation, but there's a lot of people living like this, and we want to do what we can to help you move up to at least a bare minimum of the next stage, stage number 2. Now, this one is break even. So again, this one is pretty much self-explanatory. So basically, you are receiving, once again, you're earning $1,000 each and every month. As a result of your $1,000, your living expenses are also $1,000. Therefore, as you work your way through the month, covering all of your living expenses, covering your rent or your mortgage, maybe your car payment, gas in your car, insurance on your car, utility bills, your phone bill, cable bill, all these other things. Oh yeah, and we probably want to get some food on the table, right? A little bit of food in the fridge, some food in the pantry, some food on the table, things like this. You probably want to cover that as well. Well, by the time we get to the end of the month, your $1,000 of income is once again gone as a result of all of your living expenses. Now, this is actually a very popular stage for many people to be in. Again, most people don't want to be here, but this is just unfortunately the fact for most people out there. Stage number 1, deficit, and stage number 2, which is break even. However, let's talk about stage number 3, and this is ultimately the goal for most people out there, but unfortunately a very small portion of our population actually lives in this stage. And this one is stage number 3, and it is surplus. Now, of course, this one is, again, self-explanatory, but let's talk through it with a quick example. Going back to our income example of $1,000. Your income, $1,000 each and every month. And again, just remember, it doesn't matter what that is. It could be $10,000. It literally doesn't matter. It could be way more. It could be way less. It just simply does not matter. It all comes out the same. But surplus would simply be your income is $1,000 each and every month. As you work your way through the month, you pay your rent. Maybe it's $600 a month. Maybe food costs you $150 a month. Maybe your utilities cost you another $150 a month. And everything else, by the end of the month, you actually have an extra $100 that you get to stick away in savings or do whatever you want with. Therefore, you have a surplus of $100. Or again, it does not matter what that number is. It could be 100, it could be 500, it could be who knows what, $10. Either way, it is more money at the end of the month than what your actual living expenses were, right? This is ultimately the stage that everybody wants to get to. Ultimately, just being able to put a little bit away. It could be $5, $10, $100, $300. I mean, ultimately, the more is always better, but realistically, that's usually not the case for most people. Usually it comes out to maybe $100, couple $100 at most, maybe $1,000 for some people, but that's kind of a stretch for a lot of people, right? To be able to put away $1,000 a month, yeah, I mean, that'd be certainly very nice for a lot of people, but unfortunately, not really the case. But either way, just a surplus is ultimately the goal. All right, so let's talk about some of the strategies, how maybe if you are in stage 1, deficit, how you can maybe work your way to stage 2, break even, or maybe if you're in either of these stages, you can move your way up to stage 3, surplus, right? So let's talk about some few things. Now, simple logic would tell most of us that we need to, if we are in stage 1 or stage 2, and ultimately stage 3 is the goal, the simple logic would tell most of us that we need to cut back on spending and or save more money, right? Well, yes, this would work for most people, and it would be a good strategy that you could probably start to implement right away, which would be maybe, just maybe, you start looking through the newspaper or online. By the way, does anybody look through the newspaper anymore? I mean, is that even a thing in most cases? I mean, it probably still is out there, but my point is, maybe you get these little flyers in your mailbox or the ads section in the newspaper on the weekends, things like this, and there's coupons in there. Maybe you start cutting out coupons. Now, again, this is not something that many people want to do, but maybe if you're in a situation where you think, I want to get into at least a break-even type situation or get into a surplus type situation, I need to cover an extra $100 a month. How can I start doing that? Well, this would be at least one start. If you're going to be going out and buying things, maybe starting to cut coupons could be a way to get there. Now, again, 25 cents a coupon, maybe $1 if you're lucky. You know, it takes a long time to cut all those out and do all of that. And ultimately, at the end of the day, maybe you're saving a few dollars a month, but I guess it's something, right? Or maybe the other strategy, or maybe many people are thinking, what can I do to cut back on expenses? Maybe if it's in the summertime and you want to, cut down on your utility bill, maybe you raise the temperature in your house from 72 degrees to 75 degrees because your AC would kick on less times and ultimately your bill would be less. Or maybe in the winter, you turn the heat down so that the furnace turns on less, right? These are common strategies that a lot of people use. Again, you can use it, and it would save a few dollars each and every month, but ultimately, saving and or just reducing expenses is ultimately not really the best strategy. But this is like the first go-to when many people think that I want to move from stage 1 or 2 to stage 3. But ultimately, it does work to help save a little bit of money each and every month, but it's not ultimately the best strategy to get to the next stage. What is the best strategy? Ultimately, expanding your income. So, figuring out a way in which you can actually bring in more income each and every month. This is the best and fastest way to move from stage 1 or stage 2 up to stage 3. Expand your income. Now again, I know this is a tough topic, and I know this is something that is difficult to think about and to kind of realize and be like, oh, I don't know how I can do that. Maybe I'm retired and I don't want to go back and get a job. Hey, I totally get it. I'm right there with you, right? Many people would be in that situation as well, like, I retired 5 years ago. I certainly don't want to get a job. Or maybe you're somebody, maybe you have a disability or something like that, and you think, there's no way I can't get out into the workforce. There's just no way I can do this. I totally get it. But let's talk through some creative ideas. Now, look around your house, wherever you're living. Maybe you live in a house, maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you live with roommates. It does not matter where you live or your situation. Look around the room that you're in right now. I guarantee you could probably find a handful of things that you don't use and you do not need. You could probably snap some simple pictures of them, put them online, and you could probably sell them right away or in a short period of time and grab some extra cash, right? Nice, not a bad idea. Maybe you live in an apartment complex and you know that 3 of your neighbors have dogs and they work throughout the day. Maybe you could approach your neighbors and be like, hey, I'm home. I'm available 3 days a week. I love dogs. I could simply walk your dog during the middle of the day. You don't need to come home from work anymore. And maybe let's just call it $20 a day. I'll spend an hour with your dog, give me $20, and I'll walk the dog for an hour or walk the dog for 30 minutes or whatever it happens to be. I'll take the dog out, do whatever I need to do, and you can just give me $20 a day, 3 times a week, and there you go. You've got yourself $60 every single week, right? Now again, maybe a simple idea being something like you look around the room that you're sitting in and you don't really see anything that you have that you want to sell. But maybe you live with family or friends, or maybe you have roommates, or maybe you have some neighbors and you look around their place and be like, hey, this guy has a bunch of junk and I bet I could sell it for them, right? So maybe you approach your friend, your neighbor, your roommate, your family, or something like that and say, hey, I've been eyeing this TV over here. You haven't used it in a year and I think I could sell it for $50. What do you say? If I sell it for $50, can I maybe take $20 and give you the other $30? And your friend might say, hey, I don't want to go through the hassle trying to sell this thing. If you can sell it for me, you can gladly take $20. Maybe it takes a little bit of your time to sell the TV, but guess what? You just grabbed yourself $20 and it didn't cost you all that much time and certainly didn't cost you that much money, right? So you can simply think of all these different ways and strategies that you can start picking up an extra 10 here, an extra 20 there, maybe an extra 15 there, maybe an extra 40 there, right? Just simple little tasks that you can start doing to pick up some extra cash on the side. Now again, maybe you're somebody who enjoys being outside and washing cars. Maybe you approach your neighbors, your friends, your family, people within your apartment complex if you live in an apartment. And maybe you approach people and say, hey, this coming weekend, Saturday, I'm going to be outside and I'm going to be spending all day washing cars. $15 and I'll give your car a quick scrub on the outside. Maybe it's just a way that you can walk around with a hose, a bucket, maybe a little scrubber, whatever you use, a little sponge, a rag, whatever, and you just walk around and you start cleaning cars. $15 a pop. It takes you 15 minutes. Get the car wet, scrub it down, wipe it off. Boom, you got yourself $15. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm just giving examples. Of course, maybe you would charge more like $20, $25, $30. I'm not really sure. I'm just simply giving some examples and attaching some numbers to it. But my point is, the best strategy to move from stage 1 or stage 2 would be to actually expand your income versus saving. Because here's the thing with saving, and many people don't actually realize this. You can only cut your expenses so much. I mean, think about it. You can really only cut so many coupons. Well, another thing too is you need to spend money in order to save money by actually using a coupon, right? So you can only really cut your expenses so much. Maybe you can call your cable provider and say, hey, I've been with you guys for 5 years. I've been loyal to your company. I pay my bill on time every single month. You charge me $50 a month for my cable. What do you say? Can you maybe chop it down to 30? What do you say? Can we cut a deal here? I mean, you can call all of your service providers and start trying to cut deals with them, and you'll be surprised. Maybe sometimes you can actually do that. In fact, I did this just not that long ago. I have internet service. It was incredibly slow. I called them and said, hey, your internet service is really bad. I want to change. I said, I want to cancel and I'm going to go somewhere else. And the guy said, wait, what can we do to keep you? And I said, well, I need better service. This service is no good. And he said, well, we could bump you up to the fastest service. It would be $100 per month. At the time, I was paying $40 a month. And I said, there's no way. I'm not paying you $100 a month. When I'm currently paying $40, there's no way. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to pay about $60 a month and get way faster service. And he said, what if we do this? I'll give you the faster service for $49 a month. I said, let's try it out. So he hooked me up with the faster service, exactly what I wanted, for $49 a month, an extra $9 a month over what I was paying for the slow service. He hooked me up and I said, here's the deal. I'm going to try it out for a short time. If it's not fast, I'm going to cancel right away. And he said, no problem, you'll be happy, I promise. So they came out, hooked me up with the faster service, and yep, I'm happy. It's fast. It's very fast, and I'm super happy with it, and it only cost me $9 more per month, whereas I was going to cancel that service and move on to a different provider and pay $60 per month. So there's my point, is you can negotiate with these people. If they're about to lose a loyal client, they want to do just about anything they can to keep you. Try it out. You might just be able to save yourself some money. Call your phone provider, your TV provider, your cable provider, your well, there's not much flexibility with utilities. You can't be like, hey, I've been a loyal gas user of your product for 6 years now. Can you cut me a deal on how much gas I'm using each and every month? Well, that doesn't really work. They're not going to do that. Or your electrical bill, yeah, they're not going to do that. They're just going to be like, hey, pretty much everybody else pays the same amount per kilowatt hour or whatever, however they bill, right? So anyway, but you can do these things with like your phone bill, your internet, maybe your satellite if you have satellite service. These types of services you can absolutely negotiate because they want to keep your service. Yeah, so try it out. You might just be able to cut $10, $20, $30, $40 off your bill as a whole across some of these services. So anyway, just some ideas I wanted to share with you in this video here as far as how you can move from stage 1 maybe to stage 2 to stage 3, going from deficit to break even to ultimately surplus is the ultimate goal, right? So anyway, hope this video gives you some ideas and maybe a little bit of a excitement as far as what you can do to start moving forward to kind of start implementing some of these into your life and hopefully get to that surplus stage that unfortunately not that many people are really in right now. So anyway, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I hope this gets you thinking. Again, subscribe down below, share this video with your friends, family, social media, and again, go back and check out some other videos right here on the channel. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it, and I'll